Heroes never die.
Our favorite thing to hear, and probably the most iconic ult voice line there is in the game. Typically, if it's a teammate, we always love to hear it. You guys saw the title, you know what we're talking about today. Hey, what's up you guys? It's Aiko bringing you another TIO, the importance of quick tips video here, and we're going to be talking about our friend Mercy, and more specifically, her res. Now, a common misconception for Mercy's ultimate is that the res always has to be huge, and this is something I see, unfortunately, far too often, is a Mercy will always save her ultimate in hopes of getting that huge res, but in return, it usually ends up dying with her ultimate, hanging onto her ultimate for way too long, and inevitably being useless. So instead of trying and saving your ult for that huge res, it's very important to consider solo rezzing somebody. This is not a bad thing because Mercy can relatively get her ult pretty quickly, and if it's a teammate that's been doing pretty well on your team, I think they deserve a solo res. Perhaps, maybe, if they're not the best of teammates, you can save the solo res for somebody else. You don't necessarily need to use the res on them if they kinda, you know, are iffy, kinda sucks. But if that one hero's putting in work, don't regret the solo res. Now, the true importance of Mercy's res ultimate is the impact that it has on a team fight. It can really exhaust the enemy team's abilities and ultimates, leaving them on cooldown and without any ultimates, and that's when our Mercy steps in and reses the whole team, and now the enemy is all on cooldown. They're kinda screwed. This is what I mean by it can really exhaust the enemy team's abilities. Now, this only comes in handy if you stay alive as Mercy. Mercy mains out there, I'm talking to you. Please do not die with res. I know it's the team's responsibility as well as yours to keep the supports alive, but at the same time, with Mercy's newer buff to her resurrection ultimate, she gains invincibility. There's really almost no excuse to die with res. This is especially important that you don't die with res if it's a fight that can win the game. I see it happen far too often, unfortunately, that it'll be the last fight of the game, and our Mercy does not hide, she's out there frontlining it, and gets herself killed with ult. Best case scenario, she would have stayed alive, got the res off, and we would have wiped the team, because they would have been exhausted by then. Now, I know sometimes it's not that easy, it's not as easy as it sounds, I'm just speaking in terms, but especially if it's the last fight of the game, last fight of the round, whatever, use your res. You're not going to keep it next game, so get rid of that sucker. This ties in by knowing when to hide. I've seen this tip given by really good Mercy players in the past, and when it comes to knowing when to hide, a big indicator is this situation right here. Enemy teams charging in for you guys, they're ult bombing you, it's a coordinated push. Mercy should be able to recognize this and split. Out of sight, out of mind, and then we get the big res off. In a perfect world at least, right? But with that being said, you don't always necessarily need to hide. You can be on the point healing your teammates, giving a damage boost to your teammates, and res in the middle of it. Especially now, like I said, you're invincible when you res, so you are able to do those things with Mercy now. I did want to throw out two pretty quick tips for her as well for you guys. One of them being how to time your res. So of course timing your res is super important. Of course you want to get as many people in the res as you can, and how you can do this is by paying attention to the dead meter that is shown on the scoreboard or on the skull in front of you guys on a dead teammate. Paying attention to the dead timer on your teammates is really important because then you can time your res pretty perfectly and get as many people up as you can. The second quick tip I wanted to share with you guys is about Mercy's damage stream. When she's giving a damage stream to a projectile hero, Pharah for instance, the damage boost is only given to the projectiles once it hits the enemy. This is pretty logical, but it's something kind of worth noting. If you're Mercy and you're giving damage stream to a Pharah, she's shooting her rockets out, and you stop giving her damage stream before her rockets hit somebody, then Pharah is actually not gonna get the damage boost from that. Like I said, again, pretty logical, but something kind of worth noting. Now, by no means am I a Mercy pro. I actually hardly ever play her. She's my least played support hero, and I main supports, so I am not an expert by any means, but I think these are kind of good tips when it comes to her res and how to use her res properly. Some things to possibly take into consideration for you guys. Thank you guys for watching another episode of the TIO, The Importance of Quick Tips series. Be sure to watch previous episodes if you like this content, and subscribe if you want to see more. You can keep up to date with me on Twitter and Twitch if you want to do that too. And until next time, I'll see you guys then. It's been Unlike Ike. Goodbye.